Okay, I'm here with Steve Blaby today. How are you, Steve?
Hi, Drew. How you going?
Good, mate. I thank you for coming on. I wanted to talk to you today. You've sold a number of large transport businesses. I wanted to talk to you about that. How to sell a transport business. I mean, what are some of the important things for a seller to look at if he's thinking about going to market? I know we've discussed previously, like, starters, like just the customer mix must be important, whether he has one large customer or it's divvied up. Did you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So, if you can make sure it's not as attractive to a buyer if you're concentrated with one particular debtor. So they like to see it spread. So that gives them a bit of safety or risk mitigation. So so hopefully you've got a wider range of customers and not reliant on one particular customer would be ideal.
So you maybe might want to look at bringing on some smaller ones to sort of water that down a little and make sure that when you go to market, one customer isn't responsible for a large
exactly
income.
Yeah. So hopefully, no one customer should account for any more than 40%. That's sort of quite an exposure. So it should be hopefully less than that.
Okay, and buyers for transport businesses, have you found in your experience there are private buyers for those sort of businesses, or is it more industry groups buying up other transport companies? What have you found there?
It's probably the size. So if the overall purchase price is below 1.5-2 million, then probably there's a good chance you'll have a private buy. But as it starts to creep up above that, it's more likely to be a trade buyer who might not be directly in your industry, but there might be a related industry where they could see a benefit to diversifying.
What is, out of interest, the value of the largest transport company you've sold personally?
Well, it was if it was an asset sale, it would have been 25 million, but but as a share sale, it was closer to 8 million.
Okay, interesting. And I guess that brings up another point. And at a certain level, it probably does become a share sale, doesn't it? But significant value. There's probably some good tax savings there for sellers, particularly capital gains tax concessions, that sort of thing.
That's right. And that particular company had a very large liability for the fleet. The fleet was very had 25 prime movers and quite a few trailers as well. So basically, those liabilities were sort of offset the price when it was done as a share sale.
I guess that brings up a good point. Just touching on that quickly, the fleet value, I guess, would represent a fair portion of the business sale value, wouldn't it, most of the time?
Yeah. I spoke to a really educated accountant in the transport area who was looking to acquire transport companies for one of his clients, and as a rule of thumb, he sort of came up with the most he would pay for a freight business was 1 times the earnings plus the value of the fleet. Was his formula that he came up with. So and then he said some businesses don't even qualify for the 1 times. It's just the value of the fleet. So it just depends on the profitability, obviously. That's his opinion. And he was acting for buyers, but that was what his formula was.
Yeah, I guess everyone's got a different way of breaking that down. What else is important in transport businesses? What about contracts? Do they have any weight at all? Or I guess if you have drivers that don't perform a contract, can be annulled as quickly as it's put together. So maybe not.
Yeah, they're not really that valued because they can be quite easily disappeared if something goes wrong.
Okay, and demand as a whole, Steve, for that industry, are you still finding if you list decent transport companies at the moment, there's still significant demand out there?
Yes, it's actually one of the better industries for buyers because you can get the industry players, but also people outside the industry, because it's quite a relatively easy to understand business. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to be able to run it. Obviously, there's still skills and to learn and so on, but the incoming buyers, even though they haven't had industry experience, have been quite happy to take on a freight business.
Well, thanks for coming on. I know you could talk about transport all day. You've been involved in the industry quite a lot. I appreciate the time. So if someone's looking to tell a transport company, if they want to find you, they can jump onto morganbusinesssales.com. All your details are on the back end there. Thank you for coming on this afternoon, Steve. We appreciate a bit of insight into transport. Anyone looking to chat to Steve or get some insight, I'm sure you're up for a chat. Thanks, Steve, for your time.
No worries. Thanks, Drew.